They be like, you know, they you know, you got producers, you got Hollywood's elite always talking down on them superhero movies, right? And then you hear that dumb behind argument. It ain't real. Like, man, it's supposed to be real. Like, you mad because ain't nobody really got powers? Like, yo, when people be like, oh, nah, you can't really shoot webs out your arm. That's corny. Like, the family. Every movie you watch got realistic things on it. People doing real. Out of horror movies, is Jason them all them real? Like, is Freddy real? Like, come on. Like, you like that. Come on, dog.
No. But I don't agree with their arguments about superhero movies. But I do think superhero movies should not be compared to regular movies.
It's a movie.
No, it's not.
Their hate is coming from the fact that those movies were making money.
I know what. No,
that's all it is.
I know what
they're just about making money.
I know what their hate is coming
that's
from.
all
Right?
it is.
Because I heard, I read all the articles and everything. Well, all the Martin Scorsese and all them was complaining about.
That's it.
I understand that, but my argument about superhero movies, and that's the argument that I told we were talking about off camera that I had at Alice's house, because again, I think this is around the time that Civil War came out. And we were just running down all the best superhero movies, all the best movies, like action movies, period.
Right.
And the person I was arguing with, Russ, what's up, homie, was like, he think Winter Soldier was the best action movie, period. I strongly disagree with that.
Right.
I said to the point, I said it wasn't a bad action movie, but you talking about best action movie of all time? I strongly disagree with that for the sheer fact it's a superhero movie.
Okay.
When I'm looking at a superhero movie, I'm like,
now superhero movies got action.
Huh?
Some of them things are slow.
No. What I mean is with superhero. All right, and this is me, like the same thing with my basketball take. You create a character. Let's go with what's the movie we just talking about? Will Smith. Hancock. You create a character.
Right.
Straight from together. You got no reference point, no nothing. You just create an action character.
Right.
I'm gonna hold that as a higher weight than a character that was already created, and all you did was just recreate one of their stories and turn it into a movie.
Got a good storyline.
And just turn it into a movie. Right. I'm saying I'm gonna hold somebody that created an action character from scratch
and did good.
Did good. Where the point that where you
what's
actually
the difference between most of these movies taking adaptations from books and turn into movies? You get a reference point from somewhere.
Well, you're talking. Well, we just use Hancock as one thing. I'm just talking about in general. I'm talking about in general. Like, all right, I'll give you an old action that most media consider classics. Going back into the 80s, Die Hard. They consider Die Hard classic.
Okay. Right.
They consider those type of action characters that were created. Rambo. Those type of action characters that were created from scratch. I'm going to hold higher as far as an action movie than an action movie that has that's you using a superhero that basically that story and that character design, everything about the character was already written. You're just bringing it to the live screen.
Okay.
That's
something that's made up, basically.
Right.
But some of those action characters, they all have like the same type of attitude. Like, so if you break it down to what the similarities are in some of them, like they don't do too drastic of a reach. Like,
there was a formula back then.
That's what I'm saying. So there
was
so it's not like, you know, it's really nothing from scratch. Like something
Bruce
comes
Willis,
from
Arnold
somewhere.
Schwarzenegger, all of them.
Yeah, they had it was a formula
you know
back then. Be funny. Be charismatic,
serious face,
kill a certain amount of people.
Right. There was a formula. I'm not saying there was a formula, but if I'm going to take that, I'm going to compare that to like a Spider-Man or a Captain America, to where you know exactly how to make this character look. Right, because the comic book, meaning the fan base for that character was already there, was already set in stone.
Right.
So you're going to automatically, long as you bring that character to life, you're going to automatically make you're going to make money from that because the fan base is already etched in stone, as opposed to a character that you just created. So you're saying they criticize some. All right, so if you want to say, do you think all their criticisms are valid? Because I think some of them here, like if you listen, like what Martin Scorsese said, like he was saying, he compared it to like a theme park, right? Yeah, I saw that.
He was saying like, you know, he mentioned like, you know, it's just, you know, the actors are doing their best under the circumstances, right? You know, like the temperaments of the movies or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But then he said, you know, maybe when he was a kid, he would have liked these, and now because he's older, obviously, like you out of that phase in your life.
Right, he's out of that phase.
So is it fair to criticize something that you grown out of because you're older?
Right.
So you like, that's me, like something that I grown out of. Like, I don't watch wrestling no more. I grew up on it, right? So it is not fair for me to talk trash about wrestling today. I don't watch it no more.
I agree with your point.
That's why I said basically it comes all down on money, because it's not like these movies on the award they might win Oscar wise is best like
picture, something like that.
Yeah,
like, you know
or
what I'm saying?
special
like,
effects,
right?
or something like that.
Right, but
they're not winning the best actor,
movie.
or actress or anything like that.
Damn, what you call do that, Angela?
No, she didn't win.
Thought she did.
No, she didn't win no Oscar. She won for the Golden Globe.
Oh, the Golden Globe. Yeah.
But they're not winning Oscars
we rather
or anything.
We rather see Shape of Water over Girl Fall in Love with a Fish.
I know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
Or what's the guy? Or Brendan Fraser when he like.
My thing is, I agree with them saying I forget who made that argument, but they made the same argument I said, to where you already are like characters that you're using are already established. You already got like most of your base, your money edged in stone. All you got to do is just bring that character to life.
All right, that's one part.
And you're going to make that money.
That's one part of criticism. But another one said, I think it was Frank Coppola or whatever. He said one thing where he said it's not cinema. You're supposed to learn something from films.
Oh, yeah, he wasn't learning no lessons.
It has to affect the world in a way.
Every movie
don't do that.
Yeah, right. Every movie doesn't do that.
Every movie don't.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I don't agree.
Every movie don't do that.
I don't agree with that neither. But he's saying,
y'all go to see every movie to learn something.
Here's the question: how many movies has he? No, how many movies has he made to where that came out of his movie?
Right.
So I don't.
Everybody's not learning.
Who made that?
Right.
Yeah, who made that rule?
You can learn something from every movie depending on where your mindset is.
Yeah, and what you're looking for.
Right, and what you're looking for. You can learn something from every movie.
Great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah,
you take that with you.
You can take that wisdom with everywhere you go.
You take that with you.
You take that with you everywhere you go.
The thing I find hypocritical though is funny is that the actors that do the movies, all of them. Some of them, not all of them, I'm sorry. Some of them say, well, I did it, but, I didn't find, I was able to use my range action-wise.
That's true.
And all
some characters.
But you did it for the check.
Right, they did it for the check.
And you did more than one movie. So why you criticize that?
Because I'm doing the money.
Right.
I took the money.
Because you're going to get big money.
But most of them complain too, because it'll be hard for me to do one of those movies too with the costume regimen. They be in the chair for 10 hours
makeup.
And that's what most of them complain about. Like that's what Mystique, Jennifer Lawrence complained about.
Exactly.
I think the dude that played Beast complained about it.
Yep.
The guy that played Dr. Doom, I think, Red Skull. He complained.
Yeah, he really complained.
You know what I'm saying? So I think some of those,
because he really didn't have much of. Yeah,
probably the girl that played Gamora, she probably had a lot of time too. But she probably used to that.
They can CG out.
But y'all did it for the check,
right? They did it for the check.
Y'all did it more than once.
But what I'm saying is, when you do it for the check, if I'm an actor. And all I gotta do is I don't gotta create this character. I just gotta bring it forward. Yeah, I'm gonna make big money. I'm gonna do it. Yeah, of course not. But I'm gonna do it.
Don't criticize after you did it.
But they're still looking at it from their own perspective to say I could, if I had the opportunity to make this character the way I wanted to make it, I probably would have did some things that the studio had me do.
That's what Jodie.
But you did it more than once. Is all I'm saying.
That's what Jodie Foster said about Marvel. She was like, she again compared it to a theme park. And she said, studios making bad content in order to appeal to the masses and shareholders is like fracking. You get the best return right now, but you wreck the earth. It's ruining the views, habits of American population, and ultimately the rest of the world. Like, that's not fair to put on Marvel movies. Like, how Marvel movies is
I think she's complaining about the unrealistic aspect.
But my thing is, the movies if she made a movie that I want to see, I'll go see it.
I know, but
if you make a movie that I don't want to see, I'm not going to see.
Right, but
you know what I mean? Don't act like every movie you make is a movie that I want to see.
I know, but
this is what I want to see.
But what I read from that article is what she's saying is, by Marvel making so much money from these movies, technically they are now the standard for what we want to see as an action movie. So even with the special effects,
you think so though?
But that's not true. That's not true.
I'm saying
because Oppenheimer just came out, and that thing.
Listen, what I'm saying is that's the argument she's making. I'm not saying that's true. That sounds to me the argument she was making when I read that article, when she's saying it's messing up the movie scene, because you're now expected when you do an action movie to have those type of special effects, those type of scenes, those type of action.
No little kid wants to see any movie with Jodie Foster in it.
But we didn't just Jodie Foster. I think
I'm just saying certain actors,
right? But
certain kids want to see certain movies. You want to take your kids to see certain movies, or teenagers.
What? Yeah, go ahead.
Or teenagers want to see certain movies. You know what I mean?
Right. But
what movie have you done to where they might want to go see it?
What's the difference between a Marvel movie and like Avatar?
Nothing.
And Avatar is the highest grossing movie of all time. But I don't see nobody.
But the difference, I tell you,
I know they put a lot of time in it. He put a lot of extra work in it. He takes 10 years.
And Avatar was created from scratch.
True. Right. I get that. But if you're talking about the realistic aspect, that ain't realistic.
Right.
That's the theme park.
I agree. But in Avatar, you can automatically separate realism from that movie, as opposed to where how Marvel is trying to turn the superhero movies and mix it into real life.
No, they not. If you taking that from them, then something wrong with you.
They only put any politics into it.
Nope.
They don't play none of that extra. They don't blur. Right. They don't blur the lines too much. The only time you see is they have a LGBTQ character.
Civil War didn't put politics in it.
No, not really. Not opposed to what's going on now.
No, not really. There was no black or white issue. It was no Republic, Democrat. No, it wasn't.
The superheroes did something that ain't a real life thing that caused trouble in another spot. And now they wanted to govern the world, right? So if you want to talk about the UN and how they...
I'm talking about the difference between Cap and Iron Man. You're talking about the scenario. I'm talking about the difference between Cap and Iron Man. They're different views, perspectives of what they thought was the right thing to do.
It's still
one person was like...
One person thought you should register. The other person thought you should have your freedom.
Yeah,
that's the same thing. That you can contribute that to real life.
Nah, because that's basic level of... That's basic level of being, human. Like, that's... The free will, that's basic level.
But you can attribute that to real life, and that.
But that's not a struggle though. Like nobody is struggling with you. Nobody is actively trying to take your free will away right now. Like,
oh yes, they are.
No, they're not. You walked in here. There was nothing to come in there. You ain't have to. You were allowed to leave the house when you want to. You could go to the store when you want to.
But they're not.
Your free will.
That's not what that was about. Cat. We gonna do this like a politic way. Iron Man idea was for the safety of the world and for the safety of the people out there, we should be regulated. We should not be able to go save whoever we wanted to save.
You talking about gun control, but they didn't say anything about guns, so they kept it away from it.
What I'm saying is, if depending on how you look at it, you can attribute some of that to what's going on out here in the world. They just used the superhero aspect of it and took it that way. You can attribute that to some of the stuff that's going on. They are purposely, don't act like Marvel is not purposely putting some aspect of what's going on in the world into the movies.
Story.
No, not the story. I'm talking about aspects.
Right, on the whole.
I'm talking about what they took. Was that in the comics?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, Civil War is in the comics.
No, I'm talking about the story they use. Is that in the comics?
Yeah, that's in the comics.
So it got nothing to do with what's going on now then?
No, they changed Civil War. I mean, the whole of what happened with Civil War, that was in the movie. How Civil War happened and what aspect of it happened, yeah, they completely changed that in the movie as opposed to how it was in the comic books. They changed it. Plain and simple. But even with your argument about that, you talk to, because I'm a comic book dude, you talk to people that write comic books and do that. They will tell you in their own words, they are purposely taking what's going on in the world and putting it into the comic books.
Then that would make it cinema then you can't agree with that.
No, then you take that aspect, people read those stories, and they bring some of them stories to cinema. So you're still bringing what's going on in the world to cinema.
Then that makes it cinema. That means you do learn something, which means you disagree with them. Then
I didn't say I didn't disagree with them, but my aspect was that you don't have to learn something from every movie.
But that's learning that if you bring in real world issues in there, then and you presented another person's side of it.
I put a different perspective.
Yeah.
I didn't say I disagree. I didn't say I agree with them saying that. No, I never said that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I never said that.
But some of these complaints, like I said, I'll probably read one more. But like I said, I think a lot of it come down to jealousy.
Yep.
Of course, that's the big problem.
You part about the mute. Obviously how they could just churn them out so much. And,
we
got to stop the myth of just because you take long that you put all this extra time into it.
Yeah, you did.
Like this is a masterpiece.
Please. Yes, please stop that. Yes, I agree with that 100%. You know what I'm saying? Yes.
Like just because you took 3 years to make it, don't mean you made this great product and a masterpiece. And like, I don't know how much time you was actually working on that thing. Like, come on, bro. So we got to stop that.
Deal with budget and time and getting licenses and all that.
Now, I do agree.
Availability.
I had an argument with this at work. One of my coworkers, he said that whole, you like Marvel movies, like they ain't even real. Like people flying out the sky, like they ain't even a real thing. I was like, all right, whatever. I hear other people say too, it's lazy because, which I do agree with, right?
Okay.
We know at the end of the day, the superhero gonna win. It's gonna be a villain that pop up. The superhero wins. The only time we didn't see it happen was like when Thanos. But most of the time, the superhero wins.
Right.
So you know what's gonna happen. You know a villain's gonna pop up. He probably gonna have a love interest. What's gonna happen.
But that's what a lot of movies.
That's the formula. Right. That's the formula.
That's not just superhero movies. That's what a lot of movies.
Right. So, but with superhero, because there's so many of them, you would think somebody will push the envelope. There are movies that push the envelope, regardless of what it is, right?
True.
You don't see that too much in superhero movies, right? It's kind of like what it is. Like you don't see too many risks being taken. I do agree with that.
They're afraid of that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I do agree with that.
They're afraid of that.
And they do a lot of pandering. You know, I mean, you know,
to society, whatever's going on.
But if you look at it on the whole, how many Superman movies there are compared to movies that come out regularly, they're not doing the same thing. So most love stories, you already know how it's going. Most movies, in the first 10 minutes, you know how it's going to end.
Yeah, I agree.
You already know.
But
so for them to say that, it's like.
But just a side note, when you say they don't push the envelope, you don't like the joint Doctor Strange. I actually agree more with Mordo than I did with Doctor Strange. That whole entire movie.
Oh, what?
Mordo than I did with Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said.
And how his perspective of what was going on. Yeah. I actually agree with Mordo more than I agree with Doctor Strange. But now, originally, I wouldn't have been there. Like I wouldn't have been there. So they do push the envelope with certain characters to certain aspects.
They're not allowed to though.
But they don't end it that way.
I know they don't end it.
They also not allowed to because die-hard comic fans don't want to see you deviate from the story too much.
Right. Like, no, but they do it.
I'm just saying, though, there's rumors about a female Silver Surfer. Everybody up in arms and they hate it.
Yeah, because that's no. I'm just saying, you can don't change. You're right. Don't completely flip the character. You can change some aspects of him, like maybe powers or how he got his powers, or.
Nah, I see you complain sometimes about how somebody.
I don't want you to change nothing.
Yes. No.
I see you complain about somebody's powers before.
Yes. I do agree. Yeah, I do that. No, it depends on the character and what you do with them. Like I said, Mordo. Like I go back to that. Back in like the original Mordo, like you wouldn't care what his perspective was. Now the way they made this Mordo, like I said, I was more inclined with him than I wasn't with Doctor Strange, and that's a change from the way the character was originally created for. So you can I don't mind you mixing it up a little bit, tweaking it a little bit, but stay true to the core of the character. That's what I mean. Don't do this whole flip of this whole character just because you want to try to appease the audience. That's the reason why I'm mad about that. It's not that you're doing it to change something. You're trying to appease a certain audience. So we know that you're not doing this from a true form. You're just trying to appease a certain audience to get a certain people to come to see the movie. And no, we're not for that. I've been watching Silver Surfer be a dude. What? You think I want to see a female for Silver Surfer now? No. If you want to do a female accolade for Galactus, then do what's the joint?
Something else.
Not Fire Lord. What was the chick name?
Nova.
Nova. Do Nova. If you want to do a female accolade for Galactus, do Nova.
But it just seems basically with society and human nature, if someone comes with something that's out the norm and they have success with it, the people that's used to tradition gets jealous.
What did they do out the norm that they had success with? What did they do that's not out the norm that they had success with?
I'm saying
superhero movie.
Superhero movies
out the norm.
The money they're making.
I know. I'm saying about. You talking about? The money
they're making.
I thought you were talking about something else. No, okay. I agree with that. It
breeds jealousy.
I agree with that.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree with that.
You know what I mean? And if you're not the first to do it, or if you're not getting asked or part of that, it breeds jealousy, and then you.
So here's the question.